one of the things I will never forget about the areas in which I served was how much impact the youth had on our missionary work. And at the time, there wasn't any real push in the church to have youth be great missionaries, or there was no structured program where the youth were trying to be missionaries. But I was just fortunate enough to be in a couple of wards specifically where the youth were so strong, and not only were they great examples and great leaders, but they were out actively sharing the gospel with their friends. And in a couple of these areas, the reason we were having success as missionaries was because these youth, these high school age kids, were out finding us people to teach. And the reason we had teaching pools and opportunities to baptize was because of those youth. And it always impressed me that without any structured official program from the church or even from their ward or stake, they were just out being great missionaries. And they would contact us and they would let us know that they had a friend who needed to be taught or someone who was interested. And we spent a good amount of time teaching those kids. And I'm so happy to say that a lot of them have stayed active in the church and have gone on to be great effective leaders and great, stalwart members of the church because they had such good examples from their peers. And again, I've been able to stay in touch with some of those youth, and I always like to remind them how much of an impact they had on our missionary work. It was so energizing to see these kids who were often just part of the minority. Obviously, they were just sometimes a small group of kids in their high school who were LDS, and they just didn't have any regrets. They had no, they were just super proud to be members of the church, and it was amazing for me to see, coming from Idaho, where 90% of my school and my community was LDS. It was just really interesting, fascinating, and inspiring to see how that worked, how these youth would just share the gospel and then bring to us these kids who were ready to teach and ready to be baptized. And it was just a really inspiring thing and gave me a whole new perspective on missionary work and helped me kind of have a vision of how I could be a better missionary after my mission as well. Seeing a bunch of teenagers doing it, knowing if they could do it and they had the courage and the desire and the energy to get out and bring their friends into the church, there's no reason why I couldn't do that either. So that was neat. That was great. A lot of really spiritual experiences, a lot of really neat baptisms happened because these youth were out there just sharing the gospel, doing what they're supposed to do, and being great examples and actively helping out the missionary effort in the area. It was great. It was a really neat thing.